a good thing.
I was showing houses from like 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. So it was
Oh,
fun.
really?
I
Wow.
miss those days,
Still there every
you know?
day, and then you're like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I love it. I
I need
love
a
it.
break. Need a
Yeah. Well, I don't have
little
any
nap.
kids right now, right?
Yeah,
So I'd
sure
rather
enough.
just do it all. So like when I do have kids, hopefully I can like say no to
Not.
things, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes sense. Makes
Yeah,
sense. I'm
yeah,
sure there's others in this group that can relate to that.
right.
Yeah.
So I totally understand. So I was actually just talking to my agents earlier this morning, and I think a really good topic to talk about today on Agent Locator, other than calls, is like finding whoever you're speaking to, finding the motivations, and like
Hmm.
what that means is like asking the right questions. I think that's super important. I think a lot of people are more like telling, not like asking questions. So
Hmm.
selling is not telling, selling is asking questions, finding a void that they need a solution to,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
everyone's
No, for
different, so
sure.
everyone's a different puzzle.
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
once you kind of go on these calls rather than the DS, I feel like you
Hmm.
will go much further. And I feel like that's why our team has more success on these calls, because we're finding motivation, as you guys,
Yeah,
know on my live
absolutely.
calls and by recordings and such, right?
Yeah. No, it's a good point because pretty much every lead in your system is going to have some sort of problem. They don't necessarily know what their problem is though. Right.
Exactly.
So, but they almost all will have a problem, whether they're still saving for down payment. It's not like a big like problem. Maybe they need to fix their credit. Maybe they need to do home repairs before they list it. So they have some sort of a problem that's preventing them from making the next step. And really, once you're able to identify it, imagine it positions you a lot better to be able to guide them through that process, as well as like offer them the resources and information that's going to help them to get from where they're currently at to the next step.
I totally agree. And what I also learned too is that, well, not learned, but also too, like what I'm hearing from our different branches, like from banks like Scotia, TD, all these other things, and even our brokers, is that people are scared with the interest rates
Yeah.
that they're getting pre-approved, but then they're not acting on it because they're nervous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I've had so funny, just like everyone here. I had someone that was looking in an area called Stouffville by here. So that area
Yeah.
on average price is $1,000,001, something like that. They're wanting to find like a double car garage, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, awesome, this is great, right? And I'm like, how much is your budget? She's like, oh, 600. I'm like, okay, let's be real. Like, and I almost made a post on social media, be like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're looking in GTA and trying to get a double car garage house with land,
Yeah.
you're not getting it for 600K.
No.
I don't know who I need to talk to in my followers to let you guys know that that's not happening.
that ship
So
sailed a while ago.
yeah. So then being understanding and knowing the numbers, I said, hey, look, obviously like that's not realistic. And she changed up right away. And she's like, yeah, well then give me a condo, whatever I can get. So
Mm-hmm.
good thing to know, like the market stats, studying what the numbers are, because if I wasn't a professional in my area, like what would someone say to that? Okay, no
Most
problem.
most people actually would totally brush a lead like that off as being like, this person's completely out to lunch, rather than taking the time and saying, hey, well, that's fantastic, and I support the fact that you're looking for a double garage, but unfortunately you're not going to be able to find that in today's market in the areas you're looking in.
Right.
Right. And it's really listening to your leads, and then again, that's a problem. That's a problem that they
Exactly.
have. You need to help them fix it. There needs to be a shift in their mindset. Whereas most agents just kind of brush them off and don't offer any assistance. And that could be a buyer that's actually prepared to make the next step, except for what their idea of what they're looking for just doesn't align with what they've been approved for.
Totally understand. And I think you're totally
Mm-hmm.
right. And like the best part is like once you find the problem, it's like, okay, you have a problem. You have a solution. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make the move?
Mm-hmm.
How you make the move is called motivation. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what they're looking for. So hey Crystal, I understand that like, you're outgrowing your house, you're having another kid. That's amazing, such a blessing. You know, I understand that you want to stay in the same area as you mentioned to me, but if you don't mind me asking, like what other features are you looking for in your house? right? So you're getting her to talk or them to talk, and they're like, well, I'm actually looking for an ensuite. I would really like that. Obviously, it's within our whatever's in our budget, but those are things that are looking for. And then you ask some other questions, like soft questions, like, do you want more open concept or do you want more traditional, right? Like you get them talking a little bit so they feel comfortable, and then you would just ask them once you feel that the time is right, or you gave them 2 or 3 questions and the conversation is flowing back and forth. You want to ask them, well, hey, let me ask you a question. If I can get you what you're looking for today, what would stop you? Oh, I'm not pre-approved. Okay, no problem. Let me connect you to a pre-approval. Who do you currently bank with now? And the reason why I ask these questions is because not a lot of people want to go to a new experience. A lot of people want to stay with who they have, because finance is always a very, kind of like not taboo thing to talk about, but people are nervous about it. You know what I mean? So you want to get them wherever they're comfortable with. So we always have people at every branch that we can refer to, obviously, that are trustworthy. And then from there, so let me ask you a question. Now that you're pre-approved, do you have any other objections to move forward? Do you know what I mean? Or was just the pre-approval the only thing? Oh no, well, I'm scared. Okay, let me ask you another question. Other than being scared in the pre-approval, is there anything else that they're worried about? Like, you need to, a lot of people need to start isolating these objections, because once you have a solution to that objection, it should just be a yes. There shouldn't be no, right?
Well, that's some of this on the fence. You got to kind of inch them off of that fence by offering solutions that are soft landings.
Exactly. And also saying things that people are not used to, meaning wording things. Hey, are you looking to buy and sell? Hey, are you looking that's, you have to remember what 90% of your competition is doing. Just like what Crystal was saying, a lot of people would have brushed past a lead like that if they didn't know the numbers, and that's an easy win for you, and that's an easy client for you as long as you keep following up. And I think the most important thing is being a cheerleader for that person. And I think that's what really makes a difference. Like, hey, I understand that you haven't moved yet. I understand that you're busy, but when we chatted, this was a real big goal. And, just like an accountability coach, I'm holding you accountable and I'm helping you work through the process. Nothing happens overnight. We have to plan and we have to work on it every day. Just like going to the gym, which I don't do, but going to the gym and if you want to make yourself healthy, you're doing these activities like going for walks, making sure you're eating properly and all these things, right? So why wouldn't having a coach in real estate for these people be the same way?
Yeah, no, for
That's
sure.
kind of that, But does anyone else have questions at all? Because I can keep going on about Timbits and everything that I think that is great and that what's been giving us success. But I'm here for you guys. Any objections that you guys are facing? Any hard conversations? Are you having questions about interest rates? Are you having people that are just kicking tires? Remember, everyone has a different timeline. You may have contacted someone not at the right time where they're open to talk about what they're going through, because maybe they don't feel comforted, they don't feel trusted. You know what I'm saying? So to get someone to do business with you, you need to get them to know you, like you, and then trust you.
No, absolutely. It's getting your leads it's building trust and earning that business ultimately with the leads that you've generated, things like that, for sure.
For sure. Yeah. So,
one of the one of the topics that we actually brushed on briefly yesterday with talking with Tara was the importance, and especially with this shift in interest rates, is reminding those people that have been pre-approved that you have to close within the same pre-approval and the same interest
time frame. Yeah.
So if you're working with somebody and the interest rate has gone up, they have to get reapproved at that interest rate. Otherwise, they may not close on the property. And there's some that have encountered that, and deals didn't go through. Some they had to, obviously they made it happen. Ultimately, again, it's on your mortgage agent you would hope that you're referring out to is following up and guiding these people, but it's also making them aware of that as well. And that's just something that we're seeing with this market where interest rates keep changing, and it's not going down. They're going up. So the affordability is going lower and lower rather than higher and higher.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
another cool feature is as well, guys, that I've been using that's really been helping me, especially when you're referring it to like different mortgage agents, is when you go to your agent locator lead, like you click on your lead, if you scroll all the way to the bottom where it says like salesperson, it'll say your name. Underneath it, it'll say mortgage agent. I've
Mhm.
added our mortgage agents from different branches. So whoever I send it to, I only have to click that person's info because they're already their emails and whatever BS is already on there. But now they can see the lead, and I told whoever I'm partnering with, whenever you call them, update that log, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's such a hidden gem that I don't know if everyone's using, because now it's not just you following up on the lead, it's two other people following up on the same lead that in real time, right? Which is really, really good.
And you can see what they're doing. So if you're referring, leads or clients to a mortgage agent, they're in your system and you're requesting that they're logging, whatever's happening, whether it's notes or calls or whatever it might be, you can stay on top of that referral to make sure that that mortgage agent is doing what you would hope they'd be doing with the lead you just tossed to them.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing is too, is like, sometimes you forget how much you've given your mortgage broker or
Mhm.
your person, right? And I think, knowing how much you're giving that person will help your business, because if you leverage it properly, you should get other deals from that person too,
Mhm.
depending
Oh,
on how you build your business.
yeah. Yeah.
But I think Lori has a question here. Do you contact your leads right away? I mean, some people do that. Personally, for me, I wait about 24 hours approximately, just because I find within the first, if you go on in the first 5 or 10 seconds, like picture this, you walk into a store in retail, as soon as you walk in, you have someone coming up to you saying, hey, how are you? How can I help you? It's like, dude, I haven't even like took a full breath in the store yet. I feel like a lot of people who are looking online, and remember how we get these leads, they're coming from a non-branded website, meaning they are feeling confident or okay to view listings on a website because they don't see it threatening, meaning they don't see a brand, they think they're not bothering anyone, they're just looking at homes, right? Little
Mhm.
do they know they're coming into our database, and that's how we get leads. So, we have to make sure that it's like, that's how we're getting the leads. So we have to understand that these people are looking at their own time. So if we do reach out to them, I think that it's always good to reach out to them when they don't remember that they've signed on to these websites, or else some people just don't answer calls, right?
Mhm. No, absolutely.
And that's why I think it's good to call on agent locator first, because you have a Twilio number. And then if they don't answer those, start calling on your cell phone,
Switch it up.
or then call in your office. So you have three
Mhm.
numbers,
Yeah. You can switch it up with different numbers. But if you're
right?
consistently
And
calling from the
remember,
same
guys, if
three
you guys
numbers.
are calling and they don't answer, that doesn't mean that they're not interested. It just means that it's a not yet, and you guys haven't, fully. It's a not yet, and they're just not ready.
Yeah. It's yeah. And again, we can't take somebody that doesn't answer the phone as not being interested in talking to us either. Some of them aren't even not yet. It's that you might be calling all the time at a time that they're never actually available to take a call from anyone. So it's just being consistent with those calls and changing up the time of day that you are calling your leads, not having the same static routine time every single day. Because just because, 10 to 2 works for you doesn't mean it works for everyone else. Right. So,
Exactly.
and it kind of goes back onto all use. I can guarantee that every time your phone rings, you're not answering it. It's sometimes it has to do with the situation that you're in, the mood that you're in, especially when you don't recognize the phone number, right? And we ignore calls from people that actually matter. Unfortunately, do not matter to these leads, right? So just
Yeah.
not yet, not yet, right? You got to get to the point where you matter a little bit. So just keep calling. Don't give it up. Yeah. Lori is asking Nick if you feel calls are better than text messages.
Calls all day. Like, obviously, it depends on who you're speaking to. Some people want to be communicated in text or email. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
respect that. But I think that calling is always still good because you're grabbing their attention. Because texting, you can go back and forth for a little bit, but sometimes you know, they don't know who you're talking to yet if you
No.
haven't have done an introduction call, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's more doing the introduction call, letting them know who you are, and then afterwards, if you want to follow up by text or email, I feel like that is fine, depending on
Yeah.
that person if they want to be communicated that like that. But
Mhm.
remember, too, guys, like or everyone here, that there's been so many times people are like, oh, I'm gonna wait a year or two, and then like I follow up with them, I talk to them, I build a little bit more, relationship, and now they found something in a month. You know, so like,
Mhm.
don't worry what people are telling you. Like people are just telling you just to tell you. Like,
Liars are liars.
yeah, and I'll give you an example. We have an exclusive property coming out in Peterborough. It's a past client, and he wanted to sell, and he didn't want to sell actually at first. He was renting his basement. He just renovated his house. He had someone that was coming here for 6 months. He's rented it out for someone who goes fishing, whatever, right? He was like, no, Nick, I'm not looking to go. Show him the stats, talked a little bit more to him, found out a little bit more about his situation. He wants more cash in his pocket rather than being house rich. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, you know, talking to him how he's a little bit older gentleman. So talking to him how he shouldn't just be renting because he wants to rent afterwards. It's like you should be buying at least a condo, spend that in full, like no mortgage, and have a couple hundred K, with you. And as we were having that conversation, he's starting to come around because he understands like we're looking after the best of him. And we're also going through, okay, this is your scenario. You can rent out your property, right? And then you can go rent somewhere else. But why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? So that's not a good option. Option two is that you could either pull the money out of here if the bank gives you the funds, and you can buy a condo and then rent this out. But I mean, also too, what are you going to do if a renter doesn't pay? Are
Mhm.
you good enough, right? So you have to walk through all these scenarios before people are ready to be like, they're ready, right? So at the end of the conversation, basically he just said, hey, Nick, you know what? Let's do an exclusive, put the sign on the lawn. And while I'm getting the house ready, before we put it on the market, let's see what kind of attraction we get. So it's just
Mhm.
like people right now, you'll like, and it's frustrating as agents because we tell them we already know what the solution is, but it's giving them the talk to get them there, which is kind of tiring sometimes, but
Mhm. Yeah.
all good.
Exactly.
But it comes from finding motivations, finding questions. And I feel like that's why I feel like today's topic should be motivation because, like that's what it's at.
Mhm. No,
That's how you get
absolutely.
deals done. Okay, so regarding Lori's question, can you just say the question again? My apologies.
Hold on. Do you contact your leads right away? Do you calls or text? That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already calls all day. Text messages, I find, the great way to in the initial to initiate some sort of interaction with your lead. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have to talk to them. And I find like a 5-minute phone call is an hour-long back and forth text conversation, and you still don't really get the full scoop.
I totally agree.
Right. And again, when you're talking to someone, that's your time to also shine and show your personality, right? Where you can kind of determine, I'm going to click with this person. Right.
Exactly.
A text message, you're just a number on their phone at that point. So they're easier to stray and go elsewhere. Whereas, you have a little bit more of a hook in them if you have that conversation and kind of build that rapport, establish the beginning of that.
Yeah.
That work.
And remember, only the good agents are asking these questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
play on our level, you have to ask these questions because as soon as you start asking these questions, they're already going to know that you're different. They're already going to see your value. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like, remember, we're in an industry where, there's really nothing to show for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if I'm a contractor, I'm coming with my tools. I'm a real estate agent. I'm coming with my knowledge and coming with my laptop. So like, you know what I mean? And I can understand how a lot of people see that we don't do anything, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. When you actually live a day in our lives, like you can see that we do a lot of different things that people don't see.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing about educating and talking to people. And, even when you're talking to leads, it's like, hey, like I'm going to be doing about 70% of things behind the scenes that you don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be dealing with the calls from the agent, from the lawyers, from the whatever to make sure that it's good. So you don't get a phone call saying shit's getting real. And that's what you're, paying for, right? Just like when you go to anything, like, are you going to go to a good doctor that's going to tell you the good results? Or are you going to cheapen out and go to a doctor that like might give you drugs for everything else but your problem?
Yeah, I don't listen to the problem. It's like, here, see if this works. See if this works.
Yeah, exactly. Also too, like if now, like talking about motivation as us as agents, I mean, obviously you're going through calls, sometimes it's hard, like, any lead gen that you pick is going to be hard. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always part about the lead gen that you're not going to enjoy. Pick your poison and get done, right?
Yeah.
Master it. But talking about motivation here, so I actually have a sheet that my team prints out. So basically it's just like our contact sheet. It's our call sheet. So as you can see on here, it says like, I'll just show you this and I'll read it, right? So it just show like number of calls, number of actual conversations, number of texts, number of voicemails, number of social media interactions, and number of emails. So like, because when we follow up and we're making conversation with people, like it's not always a phone call, right? But I think the measure that we go is based on number of conversations. So if you called someone and they hung up on you, guess what? You can click one thing on there. And I think it's super motivating, because if you set your goal to 10, 30, whatever your goal is, once you check one of these things off, it's like, okay, I did something. I'm almost there. I'm getting it done. And it gets pretty addicting. And then also you have your note session here. So, you write all your notes about your leads, who you've had a good conversation about. And then guess what? You do a month later, you have 4 of these sheets. Now you have people that you can go back on if you didn't already set a task on your agent locator and all that kind of stuff. But I would really suggest doing something like this, because this keeps you in track of your calls. So that, hey, okay, if I want to do 10 contacts there, 20 contacts or 30 contacts, I know I need to at least, try to touch about 60 people today. Do you know what I mean? So like, that's the way that you're going to get it done. You don't wait. Your real estate is not waiting for this to ring, because it's never going to ring. It's going to ring by telemarketers or other agents trying to prospect you. So I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to motivation. If you're not motivated to do those calls, do jumping jacks, do some push-ups, move your body, watch a motivating video, and then just call. Like, don't like make it harder than it is. Just as soon as you hang up, just dial the next number. Or if you're calling on here, you just have to click.
Yeah. Yep. Just get into the groove.
And then mentally, like, time blocking. Okay, I don't care if my mom's calling me. I don't care if my dad, my sister, my brother, my wife, I don't care if there's a fire going right now. As long as a fire is going in this building, then I'll answer it. Right now, I need to focus on this, because a lot of agents fill up their schedule with bullshit. Things that don't make the money. Things that think they make the money because they're scared to make the calls because they're scared. But it's okay to be scared. I was scared, right? But it's like being real to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. You're only hurting yourself.
Yeah. But it's also, I think a lot of people, again, kind of that motivation goes down because we're looking for those quick and easy opportunities. And this is not a quick and easy approach to building your business. It takes time, right? So as long as you, again, kind of refocus and shift your mindset and understanding that these leads, this call I'm having today, I know they're not going to be moving. Let's say you give yourself a number for at least a year. You're going to walk into that conversation a lot differently because you've already set that tone and the expectation for yourself to be a lot lower than what it could possibly be. They could very well be looking to move in the next few months, but having that understanding that, hey, they're going to be a ways out, you're going to be more relaxed, not so anxious, and actually probably find out a lot more about that person in the conversation because of it.
Yeah. And like, that's kind of what it comes down to. And remember, if you are not, getting the traction you want, up your budget. Remember, we're a business. Like, we all have to remember that we still need to advertise, right? This is advertisement. Like, if you're spending a low budget, I understand everyone's in a different scenario, but remember, like, some people, like, when things, like, for example, in business, when there's an industry that's going down, let's just say in like certain standards, that is
Nick on freeze here.
and remember, if you're doing your calls, pardon me?
You were on freeze.
Oh, sorry. What
your
did you
intro.
hear? What did you hear?
I don't know. I heard your hand went up like this, and then you stopped.
That's a good one. Classic Italians. Okay, I was just saying in an industry that, let's just say in an industry where it's trending downwards for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I'm not saying real estate, I'm just saying in general, right?
Yeah.
A business shouldn't stop their advertisement or lower the budget. A business should double down on their budget so they can take more market share, because there's a lot of people in the industry that are not going to be doing that.
They're going to be pulling out.
Yeah. So if you are going to use this as a lead gen and maybe you're using a 250 budget or 500, great budget. But if you want to get a little bit more busier, take the risk, spend more money and get more calls. That's the only way you're going to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
Whether that's lease, purchase, whatever it is.
For sure. Priyanka has her hand up. Yes, Priyanka.
What's going on?
Hey, Nick. Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Nick, I wanted to ask you about door knocking. So I am starting the door knocking campaign because I think this is a good time to go out and talk to people and build your pipeline and answer their questions and whatever is in their mind. And I am just curious to know, you also do a lot of door knocking, right?
Yeah, I used to.
Okay, now you're pretty busy.
Yeah, well, now it's just like, that's the thing. Like, it's, the problem is I'm good at a lot of lead gens because I can mold myself into it, but that's also kind of a problem too, because it's like, what am I really good at? Do you know what I mean? So I think in anything, everyone needs to try every lead gen once. Like, give it a good try, like do it for 2-3 months and see what happens. Because if you go for a day or two, like nothing's gonna happen, right? Like, you might hit gold once, but you got to put the time in. And I think last time we were chatting about this when you had your hand up in, I think a week or two ago, because I was giving you some scripts. So you haven't done it yet. You're going to start going out now, eh?
Yes. So I had like a couple of other things going on. So now I have mapped out the areas where I'm going to target. And I'm going to start. So I was just wondering, is there any app or any way you do your, you record your door knocking, their conversations, or any tool or anything you would suggest? How do you do it? Like,
yeah. So I think that at the end of the day, it's kind of like the same agent locator script, but changed a little bit differently for door knocking. Because remember, when you're door knocking, you're basically prospecting people that are not really interested. You're just knocking doors, just trying to find someone who is, which is awesome, right? So, you know, just be prepared to, like, obviously rude people, be prepared for, like, you know, people not giving you the time, which is fine, right? But also you have to go in with a different script, right? Are you door knocking an area that you just sold in, or are you trying to start farming this area? Or are you just going to, like, entry-level houses, like a townhouse, condo townhouses? Well, not condo, because you can't door knock those. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the ones who are the starter houses, townhouses, single car garage, which has a potential in this kind of market where they can sell pretty little bit lower, but they can buy a pretty good house. That's what I have done recently. I have sold a house which was 1-car garage, and now I have bought a house for my clients, which is a 2-car garage, and they got 300K off what it was selling in February. So I kind of trying to resonate the same message to door knocking this townhouse starter homes and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what is powerful is either like having a printout of the market stats showing what February was or what now is. And then I also send listings in my email of homes similar to those type of properties that those clients want to upsize to. Do you know what I'm saying? So like what I do is I try to like bring all the tools that I need to showcase my point to get that yes. You know what I mean? I don't have an app, but what I do is I go on notes and I write the street name, and then obviously like whatever door, if it's 12, I write like, let's say Mary Street, let's just say, for example, I'll put 12 dash, and then I'll put the person's name. Usually they'll get an email, I'll get an email from them and a phone number. So like, remember when you're door knocking, like I know what my goal would be, but what is your goal when you're door knocking?
To get as much contact I can get.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So do you already know how you would position yourself in your script on getting those contexts? Like, do you already have a script for door knocking that you would want to use?
Not really, not crystallized yet, but I'm preparing. I'm just kind of, watching other people, how they are doing it. But if you could give some pointers, that would be great.
For sure. So when you're door knocking, what I would do is, what I would be doing is this, is I would be doing an area. So you're doing an area that are entry levels that are going to, go upsides, but you're not doing a listing that you sold. You're just doing a different area.
That's
that,
right.
right. Okay, cool. So what I would advise you to do is, if you're going to do it like that, then I would pick that strip or that couple streets, and I would farm it. I would pick 50 houses and I would farm it. And the reason why you would want to do it that way is because, remember, like, you don't knock on the door and they're going to say, yeah, sign. Like, you have to hit them up a couple times. And sometimes you might not get their contact information at the beginning. So you have to go again. Maybe you send out some flyers, right? And that's why I'm saying start at like 50 houses, because then, like, it's not as expensive, right? And then it makes sure that you're going there. So if you're gonna, so my door knocking script would be this. So when I knock on the door, let's say, so like you guys are the door, I would stand a little bit more back and facing like this, like standing facing, like not looking at the door, just like I'm like a neighbor, you know what I mean? I would also be not dressed up to the nines. I mean, that's not me. I wouldn't do that. I would be dressed up casually, like business casual, jeans and like a sweater or whatever, right? Or whatever, whatever you want. But I would do it that way. And then when I knock, I would be like, okay, so I'll knock. I'm like, hey, my name's Nick Moretti. I actually just want to I just want to come here just to let you know that, right now there's some really great opportunities in real estate. But I just wanted to ask you, it's a little bit tougher when you don't have a sold list, right? Just to let you know, because like, you're really just knocking a random door. But the way that you would want to position, be like, hey, I just want to introduce myself. My name's Nick Moretti. I'm actually, congratulations. I actually chose this area for you to start seeing me in. Like, you have to make it a little bit funnier because you have to break that ice, right? So you're going to be seeing me a lot more because this is the area that I'm going to be targeting, because I've already helped some of my clients that live in this neighborhood. I've actually helped them, sell their house and then upsize, because right now in this market, it favors a lot of that. It favors upsizing, downsizing, and lateral moves, which is a really good time. Because as you know, in the last year or two, like, the market was super crazy. You would see a house and you would have to like run there in order to get it. Now you have time, right? But before I go into all that, like, let me ask you a question. How long have you been at your house for? Okay, 5 years. Okay, no problem. If you don't mind me asking, like, how come you picked this area? Was it because of school, price, or just best deal at the time? Best deal at the time. Okay, awesome. Well, hey, if not now or anything, but if you do choose to sell your house whenever that time goes or happens, where would you want to go next? So you want to start talking to them about where they want to go. So if they go, I want to go to Hamilton, let's just say, okay, great. Are you looking for the same type of product in Hamilton, or would you want to upsize or do a lateral move? What are you looking for? And then they'll tell you, oh, I want to upsize. Okay. Well, if you don't want me asking, is there anything out, like, since you've been living at your house for 5 years, are there some things that you don't like about your house that you would want in your next house? Right? Oh, this is only a 2-bed bathroom. I want a 3-bathroom home. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. No problem. Well, what I can do right now is I have a really great tool called the Nosy Neighbor tool. And basically what that does is, as we're just getting to know each other and as, I'm building this relationship, I want to just let you know that we do have a tool called the Nosy Neighbor, which allows you to know that if a listing comes on the market or sells, you'll be the first one to know. And I would love to give you that information because, you're even though you're not moving, you still want to know what's happening, because let's be real, I'm a nosy neighbor as well too, regardless if I was not in real estate or not, right? They'll probably laugh, whatever. And then you'll be like, all I just need is your email. So you'll write their email, and then usually they'll give it to you, right? If you build a good rapport from that conversation. And then from there, be like, hey, also, if there's a crazy sale price that just happened in your neighborhood, what's your number? I'd love to chat with, like, love to tell you or text you. Right? Or sometimes you just say, what's your number? And they'll just give it to you too, right?
Okay.
There,
Great.
what you would do next is like, okay, well, you've been here for about 5 years. You probably, I don't know if you realize, but you're probably sitting on a pretty penny. And also now knowing that you're looking to move to Hamilton to do a lateral move or upsize, like right now, as I mentioned, the market favors that. And what I can do is I'll send you some listings that matches what you're looking for in your email that you sent me, just to verify the email. This is what it is. Okay, perfect. And then what I can do too is, in your real estate equation, once you know how much you want to buy in a house, you also have to know how much you need to sell your house. So once I show you a few listings that you like, I'll come by and do a home assessment. We can piece all the puzzles together. Does that sound good? I know I'm talking a lot, but like, this is the whole script. This is how you get clients. This is how you make door knocking successful.
Yeah.
And I've had almost had 3 signs back to back from door knocking.
Wonderful. So this conversation might take like 1, 2, 3, or 4 touches.
100%.
Right. And how often do you go back on the same street in 1 month, 2 months? What is the best?
So if you're going to farm this area, you should always go, I would say every I think every month you should be doing something, meaning like, I don't know if you're going to give ice cream to the street on summer or something like that, or, or what I would be doing differently is going by there maybe every 2 months, right? Like, that's why I'm saying pick a small area, because I would also send them flyers so people know who you are when you door knock them, because sometimes they're not going to answer your door, right? Like, just because they're not home or whatever. So you need to send mail outs. You need to send things with your face on them, so that when they see you, they already know that, okay, I'm dealing with Priyanka. She's the realtor. I know who she is. And then people start asking you questions.
Right. Any realtor you would recommend I can follow, or who do door knocking a lot, that might be helpful?
I think 1 second.
One thing you can do, Priyanka, is to break the ice when you are door knocking, is to really just introduce yourself as a realtor in the area. And with the current market, there's been a lot of questions that I found a lot of your neighbors have had. Is there any questions about the market or where you might currently sit, personally, like I can answer for you? Right. So it kind of breaks the ice without you seeming like you're just coming to try to get a listing. Right. I'm here to introduce myself. Is there anything I can do to help with any questions that you might be sitting on?
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Because that'll break the ice, and kind of, because even if you're just having a casual conversation with someone, but you hit it off, that's a massive foot in the door right there. Whether, even if they're not moving or have no intentions of moving quite yet, it's those one-on-one interactions that can make a world of a difference down the road.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
But I would just try to master the script and know a rebuttal, because like, what happens if someone says no, I don't have any questions?
No. Okay, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Whereas like, that's where you need to start asking the questions where it's
don't
like,
have, okay, you don't have any questions. Nice. So how long do you guys live here for?
Yes, that's what I would go right into. Yeah. Exactly. That's how I would go right into it. So just because I want to help you guys script a little bit better, right? Because Crystal's bringing some really great points.
Right. I think too is like, if you can, it's kind of like phone calls, right? So like, how long have you guys lived here for? And they start going off, find that opportunity even to talk about something else. Or maybe their garden is like, Christine, you're like, man, that is an amazing garden. Like, you must be out here all the time, and let them start talking about their garden, because clearly they're passionate about it if it looks like that. Right. And their walls just drop, because now you're taking an interest in something about them.
They want them. Yeah.
So they're naturally, people are going to be drawn to people that are interested in them.
For sure. So that's like, if a house just has great curb appeal, or just like what Chris was saying, your grass is really good, my grass is shit. Like how do you make your grass so good?
Yeah, exactly.
And then next thing you know, you're talking about grass for 20 minutes, and then like oh shit, okay, like I need to I have rapport now, I need to capitalize on it, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's kind of what it is. But I would just try to be as confident as possible, especially being a lady. Like, I think confidence will show a lot more. You know what I mean? And just also too, if you're door knocking, I mean, you're probably doing that now, but just always let someone know where you're door knocking, just because like, it's crazy times right now too. And even with my girls, when they do door knocking, I'm just, I'm always knowing where they are because people are crazy.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you want, why don't you like make a shirt or a sweater or something when you're door knocking saying realtor on duty,
Mm-hmm.
realtor door knocking your neighborhood, ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when people see that, they see who you are,
Like honk if you have a real estate question.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an all
But I think
great
it's
ideas.
just getting out there and just like meeting people, right? Like, remember, go for the no's, don't go for the yes. Go for 20 no's because out of the 20 no's, there should be one maybe or one yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
just on a side note as well, just with respect to logging everything for everyone that's on here, if you haven't already, there is an app on the App Store for the CRM.
Yes, I
Right?
was talking to Adel, so that was pretty
So
cool.
you get that. If you're door knocking, just open up the app and create a lead.
Yeah,
you
so
can
this is
create.
where it's sorry guys.
On the right.
Oh shoot.
You're pushing stuff.
Yeah, it's
down
that
the bottom
one there.
Yeah, so you guys can download the app. So if you are door knocking, you can instantly add that person to your CRM, add the notes in there. That way they're already there. You could then go back to the office and okay, I've got these 5 people. I've got to set their stuff up, right? So you'll be able to do that.
You have your leads. You can just do it all. Sorry. Anyways.
Yeah, you can do it all from there.
You can do it all from there. And like it's better because I was actually just using the shortcut app, like from the web browser if you're iPhone, but this is better.
Yeah, the app is better. It's easier to add somebody in
faster.
There. So and then I wouldn't set up all their searches while you're door knocking.
No.
Put their information in, put their name, their phone, their email, any details you have about that conversation that you had with them, their home. That way when you get back to the office, you can just throw it in there.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's handy.
Yeah, John, you just go into your app store. So whether you're Apple
Android
or Google
or
Android, so you just go into the app store and just search for Agent Locator. The logins for your app will be the same as the logins for like your desktop CRM system. Once you do create the lead, though, one thing you can do is, and again, you can also encourage them to set it up, is like, hey, what I'm going to do actually is well, I'm going to set you up in here. I'm going to text you a link that you can download an app. And what it'll do is when you download, it's going to ask for your address. It's going to automatically set you up to receive the listings in your neighborhood. If you don't get to it, that's fine. I have all your information. I'll set you up when I get home. But just in case you want to get, that information sooner rather than later, I'll text you the app. So because once you create the lead, you're going to have access to their unique app link that you can shoot off to them right away.
Right.
Yeah.
And the most underrated question that a lot of people don't sorry, I had it. I'll come back because I had a certain thing with it. So I'll come back. Sorry. That's the thing with me. It comes and goes. It's just like you have to just let me. I mean, it is what it is. I'll get back to it.
Your brain was thinking, then thought about something else at the exact same time, and then you're like lost both of them.
ADHD, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
But yeah, so you guys download the app. It's great too because you get those push notifications. So when a new lead's created, you get a push notification letting you know. If they're sending you text messages, you get push notifications. So you can turn on all your settings, things like that. And again, if you're not at your desk and you're calling your leads, I know a lot of people will get the text message notifying them that they got the lead and they call them from their direct number. That call doesn't get logged. That's calling from your direct cell phone number. So at least with the app, you get notification, you can open it up and actually call the lead right from the app. So you know that call is being logged in there.
Exactly.
You know that there's evidence.
Yeah.
There's evidence that you actioned it.
Exactly. So it just came back to me. So the most underrated question that you need to ask when you're putting people on things is how frequent do you want my email? Daily, weekly, or monthly? Like, honestly, like that is such a great way to even build more of a rapport because you're not just being someone that's soliciting them every day because they might not even want it like that. So make sure you ask, okay, no problem. Like, especially when I'm door knocking. Hey, I'm going to send you the nosy neighbor stuff. Do you want it daily, weekly, or monthly? You let me know.
Well, it would never go to them daily unless something's sold every day.
Yeah,
Which,
but if you're in like a high
yeah.
turnover, like
if you're
attached
high
houses,
turnover,
right?
so the system will check daily to see if anything's sold, and if there has, it will send you an email. Is that okay? Would you like to receive those emails kind of like more on a periodic basis? No, we're
Yeah.
getting it once a week,
But if
every
you're
couple
putting
of
them
weeks.
on property search and then you're putting like,
Oh,
it's just, I find
active.
like
Yeah, if they're doing the
sometimes, you know,
active, yeah, if they're doing the
yeah,
active listings, then yeah, they're gonna get them a lot more frequent.
you know what I'm
And not
saying?
everyone, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
talking to them where they can move or where they would like to move might be a good path. If they like something, then they can come back and see how can we sell our house. So
yeah.
that may
Mhm,
be,
mhm.
And even let your clients know that you're talking to an agent locator. Hey, also, if you ever see a house that you do like, actually hit that like button. So that notifies me that you do like it. And I can find more information if you are more interested in that.
Sure, yeah.
That's all, you know? I think it's like really learning your system, your CRM, and understanding and speaking the language that it speaks in order for it to be super fluent.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
Like, remember, this is 7 years for me
Mhm.
on Agent Locator because I was doing this on my other team, right? So that's why for me, like all the objections, all this other stuff is just easy for me to kind of deal with because I already have the scripts in my head.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I want to focus both on door knocking and agent locator at sea as
Nice,
the source of the leads.
nice.
Kind of give it a mix and see, and actually talking to people in person and see what they are thinking or what they're going through. So
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing, especially going to those kind of area communities, is showing them other listings that are like semis or single car garages that are not selling that much more, right? Remember, this is the market to upsize or even lateral move, right? Because if you're upsizing right now, the price of the upsize has gone down. Yes, you're paying a little bit more in interest, but you know, now you're not paying the extra 200-300K what is sold, you know, back, you know, earlier this year, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, remember when you're buying a house, you're staying there for 3 to 7 years, maybe 10 years. So like, you know, if you're going to buy and sell in the same year, you're going to lose money. But like most people are not looking to do that. That's why people have been in townhouses for 5, 7, 10, whatever years, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
yeah, that's right.
So yeah. So that's basically it.
We have one question from Oscar here before we go, I suppose. Nick, do you delete your contacts and unsubscribe from both text and email, or archive them, I should say? If not, or even if you do, I suppose, because archives, they're not deleted. You don't delete leads anymore. What would your follow-up be? So if, let's say in a year from now, you decide to call them, let's say, what would that follow-up look like if they'd previously unsubscribed from communication?
Yeah. So generally, number one is like if I got a lead that came in or anyone just unsubscribed, I actually call them within like that 48 hours. Be like, hey, you know, it's just Nick calling. I saw that you just unsubscribed. I'm just curious, you know, did you just unsubscribe because you didn't see the properties you wanted to see, or did you just already buy or sell something? Right? Like, because you want to kind of know what it is. Because I've saved some clients and then turned them into deals by like simply them saying like, no, I honestly didn't see what I wanted. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what do you want? And then like, you know, prospecting them and then fixing their criteria and then sending it to them. Because remember, a lot of people are not reaching out to these leads.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They sound on 5, maybe 3 are sending them text messages and email, maybe 1 calls them, maybe 1. And that's why I think calling's better, because now they actually know who you are rather than just like a ghost texter. You know, I just feel like calling just builds more of a rapport.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes people don't even intend to unsubscribe. I was just saying this to somebody earlier, is, you know, some individuals will just like go through their inboxes like myself, and it's like unsubscribe, 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 because there's just so much coming in. You don't know who's who and what's what. You're not looking at all of it anyway, right? And then you can kind of resubscribe yourself back in. But keep in mind that a lot of your leads, when they are signing up online, just like any of us, when we're looking for something, we go to multiple places to look for it. So your leads are going to multiple different places to look for listings, resulting most likely of them signing up in multiple different locations to see those listings. If they're unsubscribing and you're reaching out to them, chances are they've also unsubscribed from those other systems as well. you're probably the only agent that has taken the time to actually follow up and see, was there, I just noticed you unsubscribed. Was there anything I could have done differently to make this service better for you? Right.
Yep,
It's just kind of
exactly.
going back right into it.
Customer
And
service.
you're probably the one person that actually calls and cares. And then you'll find that a
Exactly.
lot of people didn't even actually
Don't.
intend to fully unsubscribe, or it just could be that their plans changed, right? Well, that's great. Like now you can have a conversation about that and potentially pull them back in with less frequent emails or a different type of listing email.
Exactly. And remember, like a lot of people perceive real estate agents as greedy. As long as you showcase that you're not greedy, you don't really care about the money. I mean, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter. Everyone cares about the money.
Yeah.
An employee cares about their money. Like everyone cares about their money. It doesn't matter, right? So that's not the huge objection. But it's just, making sure that things are done properly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there any final questions? I know that John's just asking about a call script. There isn't technically one written that he has, but there's a lot of, if you watched previous live dials, you can also watch, there's a cut up. So if you go on YouTube, we actually also have a Vimeo channel as well, but YouTube has a lot of our calling cut ups as well, where you're going to hear a lot of those introductions of somebody like when the phone's ringing and what's being said.
Yeah, and I think the last session I was also showing some of my team members who make calls, because I know that you guys love me, but it's also good to have a different perspective. So even hearing Kayla's calls, very similar to mine, but everyone is going to be similar. It's just you got to put your own sauce on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But if no one has any other questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, Moretti Real Estate. If not, then I hope you guys have fun calling. There are good leads out there. I think, 2 things to take away from: number 1, finding motivation, and number 2, make a call sheet.
Yeah, track what you're doing.
Track your shit.
Yeah, track your progress and see, okay, I did this for 30 days and this is what happened as a result of it.
Exactly.
Now, you're not going to get instant results. In some cases, you might get that golden nugget that's in there, that unicorn. But a lot of the times it's okay, but you're aligning appointments for down the road, or you're setting yourself up for success in 3 months, or 6 months, or 9 months from now.
Right. And I'll tell you guys a secret. This is the secret. When you guys call and you already hit gold so early in those calls, do not stop calling.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Like, just because like now you have momentum. So imagine if you only got one good lead that day and you stopped calling. But let's just say if you, like, second scenario, you did keep calling, you got 5 leads. Yeah. Like, keep using that motivation. Your
energy. But yeah, you're using that energy from that great conversation and utilizing it towards the future conversations you're about to have, right? You've now changed. Exactly. You've got that motivation going. You're not like, oh, no one's answering. Oh, no one's answering now. You've just hit it off with a great conversation with somebody, and now you're going to keep that going.
Yeah. And if you're feeling down, move your body, do jumping jacks, do push-ups, do sit-ups, move, just jump in the spot. I know it sounds crazy, but move. It gets you feeling better.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you, Crystal. You're the best.
No problem.
Thanks for your stuff. If you have any questions, let me know. But look forward to see you guys next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.